Because you've been spending some time with reform. You've seen a bit of it.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, what do you like about them in particular?
Immigration. Totally pro-tariffs.
Yeah, protectionism is A-OK. How many marks out of 10 would you give Trump in this second term?
I guess 9. He gets 1 taken away for not releasing the Epstein stuff.
Hello and welcome back to the Americano Show. Today I am delighted to be joined here at the Spectator's offices by the great Ann Coulter, who is an author of several books and a brilliant Substack, which is, and give me the...
unsafeanncoulter.substack.com.
unsafeanncoulter.substack.com.
My column every week, videos and podcasts, though I've been a little slow since I've been in London.
It's definitely worth a subscription. Do you think, because a lot of British people feel that our country is irreparably screwed, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
Do you have that sense?
No, I think you're way ahead of the U.S.
Wow.
Though you are going to have to elect Nigel Farage, and the sooner the better.
Well, because you've been spending some time with reform. You've seen a bit of it.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, what do you like about them in particular?
Immigration.
And you think, because, well, I suppose we should get onto this later, but you think they will make good on their promises? Because quite often we see these parties, when they get into power, they can't actually make good on...
Yeah, to take 2 little examples, Boris Johnson and first-term Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, that was stunning. It's been happening in the U.S. for 20 years. It's been a bigger issue for us, I think. And states, I mean, it was back in the early 70s, Texas voted no free public education for illegals. And the Supreme Court, very left-wing, overturned it. And that's when Justice Brennan, incidentally, made up the concept of anchor babies. The court never ruled on it. No legislature has passed it.
We should explain for a British view, an anchor baby is a...
Illegal, pregnant Mexican runs across the border, drops a baby. The baby is allegedly an American citizen.
Right.
No court has ever found that. No legislature. It was just dropped in a footnote of this Justice Brennan opinion. Maybe that's a side note, but it's a big problem. In some hospitals along the border, 80% of the babies born are born to illegal aliens. El Chapo, you've heard of him, the big, massive drug lord.
Yes.
When his wife got pregnant, she'd run across to San Diego, drop a baby. They're all American citizens. One of the, I'll just give you one more, one of the, I think it was Sinaloa cartel. The cartels are just monstrous. I don't want to hear about, Hamas throwing rocks and dropping a few bombs. The cartels are beheading people. They are beheading Americans. They are committing heinous, hideous crimes. So anyway, Sinaloa cartel, they had a 14-year-old boy, this happened in Mexico, behead 4 men, cut off their genitals. He hung them, the remains of the bodies from a very popular bridge. Their heads and their genitals are lying next to the highway. This happened a couple of years ago. His parents, who were drug addicts, had run across the border, dropped him in San Diego. So after he serves his time in Mexico, he comes and lives in America as an American citizen, and they won't tell us where.
Yes.
This monster. So it's been a great policy. But my point about mentioning that case, Plessy v. Ferguson, is that Americans have been voting not to give illegals benefits, to deport them, to make sure they can't vote for now almost half a century, and the politicians will never give it to us. So that was what was so striking about Boris Johnson and Donald Trump. Oh my gosh, they really seemed to mean it. I mean, at least with Trump, every single rally for 18 months, the chant was build the wall, the signs build the wall, their etchings build the wall, and he gets in and he doesn't build the wall.
Yeah. What do you think is the real factor there? Is it the economy? Is it that businesses just have that way of pressuring? I mean, I think with what's now called the Boris wave of the huge influx of immigration during Boris Johnson's premiership, really it was pressure from the Treasury to make sure that wages are suppressed because everyone was worried about COVID and so on. Is that is that the real driving factor?
Well, there are at least two driving factors. For the Republicans, it's the donors. They want the cheap labor, which it's worth pointing out. as the cliche goes, cheap labor is only cheap for the employer. Yeah. It's the middle class that are subsidizing the rich's poor labor or cheap labor. They are nannies, they are cooks, they are, farm workers, because they accept massive amounts of welfare, which leads to the other special interest group supporting illegal immigration, and that's the entire Democratic Party, because illegals are accepting so much social welfare. Which party do they vote for? And their kids can vote. I mean, now the number of anchor babies who are of voting age is probably 20 million.
And in Adios, America, your book, your famous book, and it's a point you've made a lot, is that the motivation for the Democrats is not necessarily economic. It's to do with wanting to turn America into the third world.
Oh, yes. And also part of the left, I assume this is true here too, because it's just baffling why you would be wrecking this country otherwise, or why anybody would want to. Some portion of the left just genuinely hates America. I mean, they've hated it for 50 years. They were spies for Joseph Stalin. It's not like this is a fantasy. They would go fight with, Tupac Amaru in whatever crazy third world country that was. They would fly and visit and root for Fidel Castro. They hate America. And they used to have to go abroad to hate America. Now they can hate America right at home with all the conveniences of America, just by bringing the third world into us, because that will and is very close to wrecking the country. So there's that portion of the left. I don't think that's every Democrat. I have Democrat friends. Some of them don't hate the country. Some of them might even be patriotic. But by and large, they're getting the votes.
And Joe Biden's administration, particularly on immigration, it has an extraordinarily bad record. What was going on there? You recently wrote a Substack about Mayorkas,
yes,
who was head of Homeland Security.
Yes.
And he seemed to be running a policy of trying to get as many criminals into the country as he possibly could.
Yes.
This seems very strange.
Now, he's one, I think, who does hate America. He's a Jewish Cuban. And I think there is, for some people, the hatred of America is resentment. A lot for Ilhan Omar, one of our Somali representatives. And look, I say that because she is elected by Somalis who is in Minnesota, which used to be Scandinavian, the whitest state in the union, never had a crime. Oh, let's drop 100,000 Somalis in. Okay, so that happened. And number one, I mean, you see, she openly, as many immigrants do, she openly says, I am here to represent Somalia. She goes home, vacations in Somalia. Oh, help me, I'm a refugee. I'll be taking my vacation back where I'm allegedly being persecuted. So she openly is speaking before huge groups of Somalis. That's who's electing her. So that sort of person, I mean, there are a million like that, but I mentioned her and Mayorkas. They come from utterly, completely failed societies. They may not be persecuted, but their societies suck. Many of them didn't even invent the wheel. And they come to the greatest success of the British Empire, America. I think they come to, and I don't think the world was ever so good as when the sun never set on the British Empire. Thank you very much for that. They come to these massively successful societies, going back, in your case, 1,000 years. I mean, I've spent some time, I've done a few touristy things since I've been here. I love it. National Portrait Gallery, the National Gallery. For one thing, the paintings being done, well, in Western Europe generally. And then there's a room, I highly recommend it, at the National Portrait Gallery. It's about the size of this room. And each portrait is of, the first man to invent vaccines. And it was like 1660, maybe I'm making that up. But of course, he's British. The first calculator, British. The first guy to notice, to just confirm that matter is made of atoms, British. First telescope, British.
I can't tell you how much our viewers are going to enjoy this part of the interview. We love being told how many great things we've done.
No, but it's true.
But we also love self-hatred too. We're very into that. Yeah. I think it is fair to say you were disappointed, even fuming, about the first Trump administration. Because having been very pro, at one point you were pretty much the only American.
Yes.
who was in the media's eye anyway. You then, I mean, what sort of year was it that you started to think, no, he's not doing it?
Oh, before he got in, I was worried.
Yeah.
During we were still speaking.
Yeah.
I was still yelling at him for some things.
Yeah.
And actually, I never leaked this. He'd leak all of our private conversations. I never leak anything. I'm a vault. But it was, I guess, like March. He wasn't hiring the right people during the transition. That was a bad sign. It was February or March. I showed up in the Oval Office, and like I say, I never told anyone this, but he told people. It broke like 2 months later. And I just stood at the Resolute desk, haranguing him, hectoring him. I was not the first one to use the F word, but once it got used,
wow.
And it was about, you're not keeping your promises. You're not building the wall. You've done nothing on the wall. You're only pushing for tax cuts. The moment when he got really angry, which I think really speaks in his favor, was when I said, you're governing like Jeb Bush.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but, on the tax cuts, he has just extended them. The big, beautiful bill upsets fiscal conservatives, does give a lot of money to the border.
Yep.
But I think it's probably a mixed bag for people of a conservative disposition, would you say?
Yes, I mean, overall, but I can't blame Trump alone for this. It's hard to cut anything. A good motto is there are a lot of bad Republicans. There are no good Democrats. Yeah. So kind of hate my party. I'm totally with Elon and how they should have. They could cut government by 90% and the world would be a better place. They're mostly useless bureaucrats spending their days trying to make our lives worse. And I should say I'm not against tax cuts. I think they're good and important. It's just that's all we've ever gotten from the Republican Party. And what was special and different about Trump was he seemed to care about middle America and working class America. He was going to bring back manufacturing, no more stupid wars, the whole America first, and mostly immigration, immigration, immigration. So when he blows off those three unusual and important parts of his campaign and does what a Bush would have done, yes, it was a little disappointing.
Yes. And then endless war. So now we're into Trump 200 days in, and you're pleased. You're giving him
thrilled.
How many marks out of 10 would you give Trump in this second term?
I guess 9. He gets 1 taken away for not releasing the Epstein stuff.
Oh yes, because that is a story that will just keep bubbling away. And why is that? Is it because there is evidence of him?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I don't believe the Stormy Daniels one, that he has sex with the prostitute. I mean, he's a germaphobe. She's not his type. We know what his type is. It's supermodel who looks good next to him, preferably one who's foreign and doesn't recognize what an unattractive accent he has. I know you think we all have unattractive accents, but even in America, his accent, pretty bad.
Sorry to interrupt, but extraordinarily, I want to make this point out. Trump has repeatedly said that he really likes Keir Starmer's voice. And to Brits...
We all do.
Really?
Well, look, Cockney sounds good to us.
But Starmer's incredibly... It's adenoidal, it's incredibly nasal. It's not... No?
I got to say, I can't even remember what his voice is now. I see the pictures, I read about him. I'll tell you whose accent I really like, King Charles.
Right. Yeah.
Oh no, that I would like him to do Berlitz courses for all of America, and just have us openly adopt it. We never learned how to talk. We got to learn from you guys again. So the Epstein thing, the reason I think it's he has donors who are involved.
Yeah.
And also a favored country in the U.S.
Yes. Well, that is what a lot of people think, which is that he was sort of an element of Mossad somehow. But I mean that there isn't very good evidence for that. There's just circumstantial and the link
more,
with...
You're right. It's more that, as Sherlock Holmes said, once you've eliminated the impossible,
yeah.
whatever you're left with is the answer. And that's I think why everyone who has followed the Epstein case, and I've been following it since 2006. I spent part of my time in Palm Beach, where the whole story broke, and the Palm Beach police were great. National media did not cover it. It's everyone would say that because you eliminate all other possibilities. It wasn't, well, this is probably so boring to British people, but I'll just say quickly. We were thinking maybe it was like a concierge operation where he runs the sex shop for rich guys, like the private clubs. But that doesn't make any sense. He would have done it free. Well, I mean, I'm trying to answer the question, where did he get his money?
Yeah.
He was getting a lot of money. Coincidentally, all the ones he was getting money from are gigantic Israel supporters, all of them. Some foreign country has to be behind it. So you basically get down to, is it Saudi Arabia or is it Israel? And the evidence.
But, Britain usually is somewhere, whenever it's nefarious, particularly with Russiagate, there's always some British spook at the root of everything that's bad.
Oh my gosh, that Christopher Steele is awful.
Yeah. Well, and that's all coming out now, too.
I know, it's so great.
That's all. So there's going to be the what's it called, the Durham report, the annex. What is that? They're going to publish the annex to the Durham report, which is going to reveal what's the relationship with Christopher Steele. Maybe do we know what's?
I kind of thought Durham was. I mean, you may know more about this than I. I've been in London.
It's easy to forget because it's all such a mad blur now. There's so many different elements to it.
Well, I thought the Durham report was a big fat nothing.
Yeah.
But now Tulsi Gabbard, head of national intelligence, she has the documents, and the ones that have come out. Also, my last book, Resistance is Futile. This is when I was mad at Trump, but I was madder at the media and the elites, and also kind of laughing at them because there were so many things they could have gone after Trump for, but no, they can never just let it alone. Look, I love him now, so I think I can say that. Trump would do some total douchey thing, and I'm right with them thinking that was unbelievably awful, but they can't just leave it at that. They have to throw in, and he killed a nun and nailed a kitten to a church door, and then, okay, why do you keep making me defend this guy? Like January 6th.
Well, yes.
It was bad, but he didn't incite. It is by legal definition, it isn't incitement. It can't possibly be incitement. It was a few hours of, at most, 200 thugs, and everybody else that followed had no idea they weren't supposed to be there. And that's all we have heard about for 4 years. But they got paid back on Election Day last year.
Do you buy the January 6th, that it was sort of agitated by deep state agents?
No.
No?
No, and oh man, I argue with so many conservatives about this. After 9/11, the authorities were busting up a lot of Muslim plots. It seemed to have inspired them. Little stuff like blow up the Brooklyn Bridge. And every time one of these plots would be foiled, the liberal argument was exactly this. Oh, there was an FBI agent involved. It was well, yeah, that's how we know about it. There's always an FBI agent involved.
Yeah.
There is such a thing as entrapment, as there is such a thing as incitement. But you really have to be pushing people to do something they wouldn't otherwise do. You can't just be involved in it. And I think surprisingly enough, I would never have expected right-wingers to engage in violence. It's never happened before. Never. Group, mob, violence. That's what my book Demonic was about, groupthink and mobs. This is the first right-wing mob in history.
Yes, I stupidly wrote a piece that said Trumpists don't riot.
Yes.
It was published on January 4th, I think.
No,
bad
but it's
timing.
true.
Yeah.
That was the first in world history.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it was always sort of made out, particularly in the 2016 election, that there was terrible violence going
Yes.
on. And it just wasn't true. They were just very nice people gathering in fields.
Being attacked by violent left-wingers.
Yeah, yeah. So let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard a bit, because I think her last month or so has been pretty interesting. Because Donald Trump was incredibly rude about her, really, saying she was trying to oppose the Iran strike because she's anti-war. And he said she doesn't know what she's talking about, effectively. She's wrong, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Because she was saying the intelligence suggests that the Iranians are not about to develop a nuclear bomb. And then a lot of people thought, well, she probably had to resign if she's got so little confidence, or Donald Trump has so little confidence in her. And then now because he's under quite a lot of pressure about the Epstein stuff, she has come up with the goods on Obama, Russiagate, and so on at a convenient moment, I think so. It's not too cynical to say this is a convenient moment.
Any time is convenient for this. And sorry, I just went on a digression a moment ago. In Resistance is Futile, I traced it all back, and it was very obvious that it was coming from Hillary Clinton. And what was interesting about it was she started talking about Russia being behind the Trump campaign, and Putin is trying to help him, and they're both strong men, and why does Trump admire white dictators? White is always an intensifier, meaning something even really bad. And at the time, all the liberal media and the intelligent liberal media, not MSNBC, but New York Times, San Francisco Chronicle, the serious foreign policy journalists like David Sanger at the New York Times were utterly sneering at Hillary and her advisor. Robbie Mook was the one who came up with the Russia was colluding with Trump. They were utterly sneering and dismissive of it, as they should have been. And then Trump won, and suddenly the media decided, let's look at that. But it was, all of the evidence always was that, I don't know why they do it. I don't think Russia's particularly smart with its intelligence, but they just screwing around. They'd screw around with both sides. And of course, Christopher Steele was them screwing around trying to help Hillary.
Yes. Well, I remember someone who knows a bit about intelligence explaining it to me and saying that Russians, they're actually not that great at it, but they love being told how good they are, so they would confirm it. so they'd say, oh, yes, we have this capability, yes, we do this. Yes. And I think that was going on quite a lot, particularly with Steele. Yeah.
That's great, yes.
So Trump too, happy. What about the Iran strike? What do you think?
I was among the MAGA base that was against it. I was totally with Tulsi on that. I think that's why she wasn't fired. I think Trump might have secretly realized she and the Trump base, the MAGA base, were correct on that.
Yes, and that's perhaps why he doubled down so much on how brilliant the strike was.
And how we backed away so quickly.
Yes.
I mean, who knows? You can't run the experiment twice, but I think because the MAGA base was universally opposed to it, I think that's why we don't have troops there. We're not constantly hearing about, the terrible regime and, beheaded babies and the milk factory. There's so much propaganda out of anything in the Middle East, which is why, by and large, I just don't care. Yes.
And the tariffs has been the subject of the week this week. The deal maker in chief, as he's now calling himself, Donald Trump, seems to have... he's brokered a deal with Britain. He's brokered this huge deal with the European Union, which a lot of Brexiteers are very struck by. That if you play, admittedly, we don't have an economy the size of America's, but if you play hardball with Europe, they will fold. And he seems to have made Europe fold, which is an impressive feat.
Yes, but not Britain. I think you guys have the best deal of all as the mother country.
We do, yeah, which is helpful because nothing else is going very well.
Well, also, I don't think you guys ever put tariffs on our goods the way so many other countries did, and that's the whole point.
We had the deficit was in our favor. It was in your favor, sorry.
That's amazing. Boy, you guys are in trouble.
Well, and the extent to which, there was a book called Vassal State that came out a couple of years ago, which was about, it was a left-wing economist, but he did it well. And it's about how the extent to which America controls the British economy, and it's staggering. Yeah.
Well, you're lucky we like you, as long as a Republican's in office.
Yeah, please.
Obama didn't like you guys very much.
No, he had some resentment there.
Took out the Churchill bust.
Yes, that became a regular British tabloid story. Where the state of the Churchill bust, where it was.
That's very funny.
Yeah. But so Trump, you're happy. Are you pro-tariff? What are your thoughts on tariffs?
Totally pro-tariffs.
Yeah. Protectionism is A-OK.
Yes, not so much protectionism, but I'm with Trump on it. It needs to be fair, and so we have been giving it away. That's one thing, just for years and years and years. And I'm sick of the free traders. It's like a religion in the United States that but it isn't fair. We've been trying your way for 50 years. Manufacturing has been wiped out. We used to have like 20 million people working in manufacturing. I think when I wrote Adios America, or maybe it was in Trump We Trust, I don't know, we were down to like 11 million. The working class, the middle class has been suffering enormously, and I notice Wall Street's doing quite well. So how about let's try not having this, what is called free trade, and I think Trump is right, it's unfair trade.
Are you struck, looking back over your life, the last 20, 30 years? I mean, you were a figure of tremendous hatred for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. And you didn't seem
Please don't tell me you don't think I am anymore.
Well, but I feel like the world has come round a bit to your way of seeing things. What people call the Overton window has shifted towards your view.
Man, on immigration, yes. It's funny, all the arguments in Adios America is just stunning to see them repeated almost verbatim by people like Elon Musk.
And you think public opinion is now, because it was thought that sort of deportations would be a step too far, but now it seems as though public opinion in America and even in Europe is in favour of deporting people who are here wrongly.
No matter how much, and I knew this would happen. I argued with one female conservative pundit I like quite a bit, Heather McDonald at the Manhattan Institute. Mm-hmm. And she's always very pessimistic and was saying, no, Trump's not going to be able to deport them because the media will show, crying children and Americans will just melt. And I said, we've been given at the office for 50 years. People are so sick of this. No crying babies are going to change public opinion. And they have absolutely found the most preposterously sympathetic cases, many of which you'll then read on Twitter. This dear family man who was torn away. Actually, he committed a triple murder. So even their really sympathetic cases are never that great if you wait a week. Yeah. But yet and still, and the New York Times has admitted in its polls, a majority of Americans favor mass deportation, and that is the phrase they are using, mass deportations.
I saw there was a story that got pushed and promoted a bit this week. It was someone from Venezuela called Jesus, and because he was called Jesus, it was obviously wrong to remove him. Yeah, you can't.
Finally, the media cares about Jesus.
I know. It's a very Christian place. Well, Anne, it's an absolute pleasure to have you at The Spectator. Thank you very much for coming in. Before I let you go, though, Anne, you had mentioned about speaking on the phone to Donald Trump, and we have a very good piece in that edition of The Spectator, which you will kindly wave at the camera, please, and say what a good magazine it is.
Beautiful. We do not have magazines like this in the U.S. anymore.
You do. You can buy it in America.
I can't believe how much media you have much more press, much more conservative press, and the most stunning thing is lots of bookstores. That's like buggy whip factory.
Well, I mean, Peter Hitchens once told me that the difference between American conservatives and British conservatives is that American conservatives read. And I think there's some truth in that.
They're reading, but they're reading online. They're buying from Amazon. Don't you get all your books on Amazon?
Well, your books have sold pretty well. They do.
I know. Imagine if we had bookstores. Wow.
But actually, the reason I brought that up is because in that magazine there is a piece by Aidan McLaughlin about how often Donald Trump is still speaking to reporters and how some reporters just can't believe that they are just rung up on a Sunday afternoon. He does seem to love the phone. It's since the 80s.
Yes. And after Biden never, ever holding a press conference and having to read a script in response to phony questions. I will say that was one of the many things I was annoyed with him for term one. He was on the phone with Maggie Haberman of the New York Times every day. And, the New York Times did everything they could to stop him from being elected, whereas particularly Breitbart report, they were pretending to be neutral while supporting Trump in 2015 and then just totally coming out of the closet by 2016. And the fact that they weren't like the first ones invited to the White House, he was totally ignoring conservative media. I think that's part of the reason he wasn't keeping his promises. He was sucking up to liberal media, trying to get them to like him. That's never going to happen, but he didn't know that. Well, now he knows that. And one of the great things he's done in relation to this is the new press room, he's bringing in all the new media, Carolyn Levitt, bringing in new media and all these bloggers, and it's like a rolling group of who the traveling press corps is. He loves talking to the press. I don't know if you remember his first press conference after he became president. It went on, I don't know, for 2 or 3 hours. And reporters have said, we've asked him every question we have, and he's still standing there. We start asking him about his golf game.
The Spectator's actually been given access in the White House under new media, which we find quite funny.
I think it's great.
It's great. Very good indeed. And I will let you go now. Thank you very much indeed.
You.
Thank you. Thank you for the plug.